Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Trina here with a new video for you. In this video, we'll dive into the Dasai Osamu from the BSD anime. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying, just sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So let's get started. Dasai is a member of the Armed Detective Agency and was a former executive of the Port Mafia, the first season's main antagonist. Dasai first met Ogai Mori, the boss of the Port Mafia, when he was 14. At the time, Mori was a doctor who was treating Dasai as he had recently attempted suicide, which he continues to attempt throughout the show. Mori murders the Port Mafia boss so he can make up the idea that he gave him the right to lead on his deathbed. Dasai is the only witness and keeps the truth a secret. After some time, Dasai had a casual relationship with Mori to the point where Mori wished to raise him as his right-hand man. Mori at first believed that they were in the same boat, but later his opinion changed as he realized how wise yet dark he was. Dasai later unwillingly becomes partner with Chuya, destroying an entire enemy organization in one night. They were dubbed the criminal world's worst enemy and was the beginning of their love/hate relationship. During the Dark Era, Dasai became the youngest member in history to be given the title of Port Mafia Executive, being only 16 at the time but was considered high-ranked even before then. He was considered a legend to the point that the saying, "the misfortune of Dasai's enemies is to have Dasai as their enemy," was created by other members of the Port Mafia that looked up to him. When he was executive, roughly half of the Port Mafia's overall profits were earned by Dasai. He was skilled at torturing prisoners for information and gave Akutagawa Spartan training when he first joined the organization. Dasai decided to leave when his old friend, Oda, was killed. His last words were spent advising Dasai to become a good person. He respected this wish and aborted a mission as he escaped. He tracked down Taneda and asked him where he could help people. Taneda first suggests the Special Abilities Division, but Dasai turns it down as he doesn't do well in a place with too many rules. Taneda then recommended the Armed Detective Agency, which he accepted. However, he waits 2 years before he decides to join them to keep his criminal past hidden. Dasai is a lean, tall man who has fluffy brown hair and narrow eyes. Dasai adorns his iconic cream-colored trench coat, which he leaves untied at the belt, as well as a black vest and a striped shirt. He also wears a bolo tie, which is held by a brown ribbon. He has beige pants and dark shoes along with bandages wrapped around most of his body, hiding multiple scars. When he was a part of the Port Mafia, he wore a black trench coat and had bandages on his right eye, and his arm was in a sling. Dasai is a very mysterious character to the point where you can never tell his true intentions unless he tells you himself. Oda is so far the only person to get near Dasai's real personality. Kunikita always calls Dasai lazy as he is usually unproductive and slacks off. He has incredible wit as he deduces that Atsushi was the were-tiger with little to no information. Dasai is frequently overdramatic but doesn't take any credit for his actions, even though they are very thought out. He enjoys teasing people that make him laugh, such as Kunikita. His weird behavior makes him the comedic relief of the bunch, though there is a lot more than that to his character. He is obsessed with suicide, but has never been successful in carrying it out. He wishes explicitly to die with a beautiful woman who is a reference to the real author, Dasai Osamu, who tried to commit suicide with multiple women at different times. Although these attempts are comedic, they represent a dark part of Dasai that he cannot satisfy. Dasai cares deeply for everyone at the Armed Detective Agency, but is incredibly close to Atsushi, who he believes has great potential. Dasai's ability, no longer human, allows him to nullify others' abilities by touching them. He can take away any ability at any time as long as he can touch them or they touch him. We first meet Dasai in episode 1 as he is the first member Atsushi meets as he saves him from another suicide attempt. Along with Kunikita, they solve the mystery of the were-tiger and invite Atsushi to work for the Armed Detective Agency while also providing him with a place to stay. Atsushi accepts and starts his new life at the agency. Atsushi passes the test, which allows him to become an official member. Dasai challenged Atsushi by seeing if he could guess all the members' past careers. He was able to guess them all right, apart from Dasai's, whose Port Mafia past is hidden from the whole agency. After this exchange, a client came to the office, and Dasai immediately proposes to her, causing Kunikita to scold him. He then listens to the client's request and assigns Atsushi and Tanizaki to the case. The client led them down an alley and revealed she was actually a member of Port Mafia. Dasai realized that something was wrong and followed them to the passage. He spots Atsushi and Akutagawa fighting and uses his abilities to stop them both. He revealed that he put a listening device into the client's pocket and heard their entire conversation. The client wants to fight him, but Akutagawa insists they should back down, revealing the truth of his past for the first time in the show. In episode 5, Atsushi accompanied Ranpo for a murder case, and they are informed that Dasai was trapped in a net in a river near the crime scene. However, this time, he was just floating on the river and wasn't intending to commit suicide. He sees the corpse and wishes that he died with her, while also encouraging Ranpo as he knew he could solve the case. Ranpo solved the case as he figured out that the murderer was one of the police officers overlooking the case. Dasai later explains to Atsushi that Ranpo doesn't actually have an ability but pretends like he does. Dasai eats some weird mushrooms as he read in a book that they would help him die, though instead, he started acting strangely. Thanks to a tip, they were able to save a kidnapped woman. It wasn't until Dasai joked with Kunikita about his ideal girl the next day that Kunikita realized that the taxi driver who took them to the kidnapped woman was actually the kidnapper. However, the taxi driver was forced to do the kidnapping, meaning that he wasn't the true culprit. They once again received an anonymous tip, this time informing that a bomb had to be disarmed as soon as possible. The next day, Dasai conversed with Sasaki, the kidnapped woman, who suggested that Azure King was the culprit. Ranpo was able to find the bomb's location and the bomb squad arrived, but they weren't able to disarm it. The three arrived but were attacked. Dasai and Atsushi were fighting upstairs while Kunikita was on the bottom floor. The former two attempted to disarm the bomb but realized they needed a key to do so. Kunikita noticed how they couldn't stand a chance and quickly swapped places with Dasai. He eliminated the other man's ability, then Kunikita recreated the key and put it in, disarming the bomb. The day after, Dasai had figured out who was behind it all and called Kunikita to an abandoned hospital. He told him that the true culprit would arrive, and Rokuzo came instead. Kunikita believed he was the culprit, but Dasai corrects him, assuming that Rokuzo had hacked Kunikita's email and seen the message as Dasai sent it on his email. Sasaki appears and shoots Rokuzo, revealing to them that she was the Azure King's girlfriend, Azure Messenger. Dasai couldn't shoot her and dropped his gun, but it was picked up by the dying Rokuzo, which ended in her death. Dasai commented that Kunikita's ideals might lead him down the same path as the Azure King, but Kunikita assured him that he wouldn't turn out like him. Dasai went missing when a young girl, Kyoka, approached him on the street and activated her ability. Atsushi informs the agency, who eventually fights face-to-face with her on a train, saving her from working for the Port Mafia as she instead joins the agency. Meanwhile, Dasai was still missing and was shown to be in handcuffs in the Port Mafia base. Akutagawa visits Dasai and immediately threatens him, but he isn't fazed by this and just degrades him in return. Dasai throws salt into the wound by telling him how he was nothing compared to Atsushi, which angers him. After this encounter, Dasai is visited by his past partner, Chuya. He asks why Dasai let himself be captured so smoothly, and he responds by admitting that he just wished to be executed. This exchange and Chuya cut off Dasai's restraints and demanded him to fight. The two engage in hand-to-hand combat, and Chuya quickly gets the upper hand. Dasai comments that Atsushi was the reason he let himself be captured. He then reveals to Chuya that if he's killed, Mafia intel would be leaked to the public. This allows Dasai to escape and look for the bounty on the Were-Tiger. It is revealed that the guild were the ones who had the bounty on him. The first few episodes of Season 2 are dedicated to Dasai's past as a Port Mafia executive and explain his reasons for leaving. We see him again in episode 17 as Koyo sees him when she first wakes up at the agency. She immediately calls him a traitor and asks Atsushi if Kyoka is okay, and he informs her that she's missing. She laughs, which angers Atsushi. He uses his ability and is about to attack her, but Dasai stops him and tells him that he'll handle it while escorting him out of the room. When Atsushi is out of the room, he asks her kindly what the Port Mafia is planning, but she doesn't say anything. He locks the door and reminds her how cruel he is when getting information through torture and that he never failed to make his victims succumb. The agency then had to flee and found a temporary base for the group so they could stay in hiding. Dasai creates a plan where they separate into different groups to fight back the guild and the Port Mafia. The defensive team's goal was to protect Yosano, and the offensive team aimed to fight back while keeping their new base hidden as they didn't have enough resources to fight back the enemy when they're at their peak. Dasai and Atsushi wait at the station for Naomi and Haruno, but Dasai then goes off, saying that he needed the bathroom. He went to a dark area, and Jin held a knife to his neck, and Higuchi held a gun at him, but he didn't look fazed and instead commented on how Jin had gotten taller. He asks why they are here, and they reveal they had a message from Mori who wished for him to return. This makes Dasai laugh. Then, it's mentioned that there was another reason for them wanting him to join them as they had set Q loose on the train. This immediately horrified Dasai, and he ran back to the station and yelled at Atsushi to stop. Atsushi collapses onto the floor from shock to horror, and Dasai tells him to get up, but Atsushi instead screamed about how he believes he is worthless and how he should never have existed. Dasai tilted his head so he would look at him, then he slapped him and told him to stop pitying himself, as if he did. His life would just be an endless nightmare. Later on in the series, Dasai and Shuya go to save Q from the guild, who intended to end the world with their ability. Fighting side by side once more, they are able to defeat the guild members. In the next season, Atsushi discovers that the director of his orphanage had been killed and that he was assigned to the case along with Tanizaki. He runs off, and Dasai approached him, talking him through his feelings. While he doesn't console him exactly, he tells him that only Atsushi himself can understand his complicated feelings and explains to him how most people cry when they lose a father figure, causing Atsushi to break into tears. In episode 33, Dasai realizes that Fyodor is looking for a book that he can use to rewrite humanity at his will. However, one of Fyodor's men shoots Dasai to send a message to the agency. Dasai is bedridden, and he told Tanizaki about Natsume, who is the ability user who created the agency in the first place. Michan then arrives at his hospital window with a dried sardine in his mouth. After the fight at the end of the season, Dasai and Atsushi chat on the SS Zelda. Atsushi told him that he didn't want to work with Akutagawa anymore as he was short-sighted. Dasai looks at Oda's cigarettes, which he linked with Atsushi's words as they reminded him of his late friend. The two then make a toast to the stray dogs and clink their glasses, ending the third season. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has got you covered! Our We the Celestials My Hero Academia and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested! Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, then I'd like to extend you an invitation to join the team. The only caveat being that we can only accept members from 16 years and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video, so thank you all.